he is so beyond burned, I think he feels, by ownership at this stage that it's hard for me to see it being repaired, but it's interesting to me that when I talk to other teams about this situation, they think Taylor's going to end up getting a deal in Indianapolis.
I'm going to get a law degree so I can represent running back, okay? That's my goal. I am here for the running back.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it,
Michael. I had one agent tell me that the only running backs he pursues coming out of college are guys who are either projected to go in the top 10 or guys who are projected to go from the second round on. From 11 to 32, the teams have all the leverage and can lock up that player for up to 8 years. So what is the incentive for him at that point to get one of those players knowing that they will never have the leverage?
I am so proud of this kid, right? Like, I really love what I'm seeing out of Anthony Richardson. August 24th made the 4-year anniversary of Andrew Luck retiring. And it popped up in my news feed yesterday, and I almost cried again. So I think the Colts are finally making the right decision and going in the right direction at the quarterback position.
Didn't cross my mind, period, about an impact here. Regarding Dak. I know that Dak wants to do anything we can do to improve this team, and we're going to do it. The facts are that the decision to bring in as high a quality of talent as we could, that's evolving, or a young talent that is basically gaining, improving, getting better, that you would be as a young talent. That's something that we've been trying to do, but it's just never, the opportunity seems to be there so often. But we've been trying to do what we did today with this trade almost every draft since I've been drafting.
I can't say that I necessarily expected it, no. I understand that it's business. I understand that they're probably on a timeline. They need to get something done, and as I said, he felt like that strengthened this team, and as I said, ready to welcome him. And to be honest with you, I'm not surprised by anything anymore. He's been in this league 8 years, been on this team. It's hard to say that I was surprised, to be honest with you.
Trey Lance holds a special place near and dear to the heart of this here show. I want to say, Michael, back in 2021, he was one of our first draft prospect interviews, I want to say.
He was.
And I don't think we're easily impressed. Because we've been both doing this for a long time, but we were both blown away by this young man. And I'm sure the Niners were as well, which had a lot to do with them trading up to get him in the 2021 draft. He was so impressive. We took to him. We're rooting for him. I think a lot of people are rooting for him because he can't seem to catch a break. Having said that, as everybody knows by now, a couple of days ago, the Niners sent him packing to the Cowboys. Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott, you just heard from a moment ago. So let's unpack this. Starting with, let's just get this out of the way right now. I'm going to say this for the people in the back. Trey Lance ain't got shit to do with Dak Prescott. Okay? Like the idea that the Cowboys acquired Trey Lance with Dak Prescott's contract situation in mind suggests and presumes that Trey Lance can actually play. Trey Lance has two things going for him. He's 23 years old, and one team thought enough of him to give up 4 picks for a 4th round pick, because that's the math now. Quick sidebar.
Thank you.
You know how it irks me? It irks me how people say, oh, they traded 3 picks for the number 3 overall pick. No, they traded 2. They swapped 12 and 3. So they traded for the right to move up from 12 to 3. So they traded 2 first-round picks and a 3rd-round pick. But now that said 3rd overall pick has now gone to a second team for the Cowboys for a 4th-round pick. That now means that they traded 4 picks for a 4th-round pick. That's the math, okay? I was told there would be no math. Having said all that, Trey Lance is the 3rd stringer for the Dallas Cowboys until further notice. He ain't better than Cooper Rush. Okay, we've seen Cooper Rush play and play well enough to win. We have not seen
Win
Trey
games.
Lance play. We
Win
don't
games,
know what
right.
the hell. We don't know what the hell Trey Lance is or isn't yet. What this is a draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys. He's 23 years old. You're giving up a 4th-round pick. There is absolutely no downside to this. No downside. Because if you miss, well, you ain't the one that traded 4 picks to get him. Okay? You took a flyer on a guy with physical tools and with talent to see what it turns out to be. You and I both know that Ron Wolf, and I'm sure there are many others, but it's a wisdom and an approach attributed oftentimes to Ron Wolf in Green Bay.
Right.
It's good
Rightfully
business
so.
to draft and develop quarterbacks. It's just good business. You draft and develop young quarterbacks, even if you got one. But this is not Green Bay drafting Jordan Love in the 1st round and not telling Aaron Rodgers, you ain't got to say nothing to Dak Prescott, because we've all seen Trey Lance play, and we don't know if he's any good. So please explain to me how acquiring Trey Lance is somehow supposed to be an affront to Dak Prescott or about preparing yourself for Dak Prescott and his contract. Really? Like,
Hey,
you haven't seen Trey Lance play, and unless Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush get hurt, Michael, you ain't gonna see him play this year. So what are we talking about?
See, and I'm glad you brought up Ron Wolf and how he used to stockpile those quarterbacks. And it's not Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. It's not Jordan Love,
round.
Aaron Rodgers. I'll tell you
Round.
what it is. It's all those guys. It's all those guys that he had in Green Bay, but never really played in Green Bay. Mark Brunell, Aaron Brooks, Kurt Warner was another one.
Yeah.
Matt Hasselbeck.
Matt Hasselbeck.
All those guys
Yeah.
who had to go
Yeah.
somewhere else. So look,
Yes.
applause to the Dallas Cowboys for bringing another quarterback on staff. But before I get to them, I just want to say there's something. What's that old phrase? You can get more. It's a cliche. I can't remember it though. You catch more with honey, with sugar than with
catch more flies with
vinegar.
Yeah, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Flies, yeah.
Yeah, there it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
The San Francisco 49ers have lived by that motto and rewritten the motto.
Well, wait.
They are
wait.
such
Don't go.
media-
Don't go. Wait. No. Not yet. Stay with Dallas.
Okay,
Stay
I
with
was gonna
Dallas.
say-
Because you're gonna
I was
say
gonna
something
say-
that we're gonna have to unpack. Stay with Dallas first.
but-
Dallas first. Dallas first. Go ahead. Get the
From
Dallas six
from
off.
a Dallas perspective, I'm coming back to San Francisco because I
We
got.
are. I saw that in your feed.
I'm gonna say something.
I saw that in your feed. I saw that in your feed. I saw it.
I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something.
I'm ready for it.
I'm gonna say something.
I'm ready for it. Yeah.
But I would think for Dallas, it's a good move for Dallas. I feel for Trey Lance. As you said, we had him on the show. Very impressive young man. Has it all together. Said all the right things. Clearly a good head on his shoulders. You said he can't catch a break. He catches too many breaks, as a matter of fact.
Literally.
Broken finger, broken ankle. But I wish he had gone somewhere else where he could just play. It's not about being in a good system. It's not about having a mentor. All those things. He's had that. He was in a good organization. He was in a good system. He had a quarterback whisperer, so to speak, in Kyle Shanahan. And now he's in another good organization with another good quarterback and a guy who has coached good quarterbacks in Mike McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy.
But
yeah.
I think he needs to go somewhere and just play. I mean, I wish he could go to Arizona as Kyler Murray is out. And he could just play in Arizona and just get and see if he can stay healthy and see what he can do. I don't really think this is helping him. So you're right. This has nothing to do with Dak Prescott. It doesn't. It does have something to do with Trey Lance, and it's not great for his development. Tennessee, another thing. Go replace Ryan Tannehill. Get him. Move him out the job. Replace Ryan Tannehill. Skip over Malik Willis and take over that operation.
Okay, wait. Stop right there.
I know.
Stop right there.
I know. I know.
Is he better?
I'm being provocative.
What am I going to say?
I know.
No. I'm asking you.
He's
not
that
provocative.
he's not better than. We don't know that he's better than Ryan Tannehill.
Yes.
We don't know that he's better than Malik Willis. I know.
You have nothing to lose by acquiring Trey Lance, but a team that lets him play is probably not going to win many games, at least based on what we've seen or what the Niners have seen.
And that's
okay.
Do
you know how bad – and listen, he's a good kid, but do you know how bad he must be behind the scenes? I'm assuming this here, okay? For one, a team that will now have on their resumes, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan will now have on their resumes that they had the biggest draft blunder in NFL history. Dude played 8 games for them. And like I said, they gave up 4 picks to get a 4th round pick in return. That's the calculus here. You know how bad he had to be for them to give up on him? For Sam Darnold to come in, they signed Sam Darnold for him to be the backup in case Purdy weren't healthy. So that's number one. Number 2, that 4th round pick that the Cowboys gave up blew everybody else out the water. Nobody came close. So what's his reputation, not just in San Francisco, but around the league? Oh, does that lead us right to where you want to go? Is that the Niners media manipulation machine?
Okay,
here?
exactly. Like, we supposed to get, you go, we supposed to be excited? We supposed to be excited for you? Hey, we couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe we actually got a fourth. A fourth? You went from 12 to 3. You gave up 2 additional first-round picks, and you go celebrate that you got a 4th because our information, our analytics told us that maybe we'd only get a 6th or we only get a 5th, and we got a 4th, and aren't we smart?
Well,
no,
I mean, I
you're
think
a
a 4th
disaster.
is pretty.
You're a disaster. No, it's not good.
I mean, that's better than
It's not
nothing.
good. You ain't
a 4th
salvaged
for
nothing.
a 3rd stringer
You ain't salvaged nothing.
who's barely
Okay,
played
better than
since
nothing.
college.
Okay.
He barely played. We barely played
It's
at North Dakota
better.
State. He hasn't played in the NFL. I mean, okay, thank you for the 4th, because otherwise we probably would have had to cut him. I mean, if you're the Niners, right?
It's better than nothing, but it's about nothing. Okay, take the G off. It's about it's almost nothing. Okay,
It's Nathaniel.
Especially right, especially after what you wanted, after what you wanted Trey Lance to become. And you're right, the Niners, they don't want to go around and say we did all these things. We wanted Trey Lance to become our franchise quarterback, and less than a year after he was our starter in 2022, starting quarterback 2022 for the San Francisco 49ers.
Who knows?
Now he goes from our 1 to a 3. This is organizational blame. Give Trey Lance his share of it. Nobody wants to. Everybody's like, oh, it's not his fault. Okay, just give him some of it. Some of it.
Right. He might not
really
be great. Might not be good.
Okay.
And that's okay.
But I know. Give him some of it, but also give the Niners some of it. Like, this is what I want to ask Kyle Shanahan. Is there a quarterback? Who do you like? Who do you like? I know. You grew up. You grew up watching John Elway.
Kyle Shanahan. Okay,
here we go. It says no.
You've been waiting for this for 2 years.
No, I'm just saying, Mike. The dude can't stay committed to a quarterback. And I understand you grew up watching greatness.
Or some would say he can't evaluate him. Some would say he can't evaluate him. Some would say.
Or that might be it too.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine, like Prince is one of your favorite artists, if not your favorite artist, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You grow up
number 1.
in a household, listening to Prince and watching Prince perform, and then you go everywhere, any other musician, everybody be like, man,
everybody
that was great.
pales in comparison.
That ain't nothing. Oh, that ain't nothing. Yeah, you were watching Prince. Okay, Kyle Shanahan, you watched John Elway. Okay, I understand the bar was set very high. Nobody's gonna match that, but like RG3 first, and then it was Kirk Cousins.
He got
fell
hurt.
for Kirk Cousins. Then it was Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh no, not Jimmy. Not Brock
Couldn't stay
Purdy.
healthy.
No, Trey Lance. No, it's Jimmy. No, Jimmy Garoppolo. Then Trey Lance. He really fell for Trey Lance, so somebody did. If not Kyle, it was John Lynch.
Brock Purdy was found money, but I could answer your question for you.
Yeah.
So first
Brock
of all,
Purdy.
do you remember who you said they should have traded? Do you remember who you said
Don't move your
they
stuff
should?
in.
When we argue. Oh, he's the guy. He's the guy. Remember when we argued?
Okay.
After they traded up to number 3, I'm like, of course it's for a quarterback, and forget about whether it was Mac Jones or Trey Lance. Remember the player that you thought they should have drafted?
I thought they were going to get us. Didn't I think they were going to get Kyle Pitts?
Well, you thought they should have drafted Kyle Pitts and just been unstoppable on offense, with him and George Kittle.
Right.
But I just want to, I want to test you, which in hindsight, hey, probably would have worked out better, right? Because they ended up getting, Brock Purdy and Mr. Irrelevant last year. Here's the kind of quarterback Kyle Shanahan likes, and it speaks to what the Niners are doing. You know this as well as I do.
Which one does he like? The next one. That's his favorite quarterback.
You know what? You know what? I can't actually can't say anything better than that. It's like, who's Tom Brady's open receiver? You know, who's Tom Brady's favorite receiver? The open guy. Who's Kyle Shanahan's favorite quarterback? The next one. Well said. I'll try to recover and say what I was gonna say. Kyle Shanahan, and his thing, it's the same reason why Mike McCarthy traded for Trey Lance. You know as well as I do. All these coaches think they're the smartest one in the room. They all think they're smarter than that. Oh, if we just get him into our system. Oh, he just needs a fresh start. He just needs our coaching. Kyle Shanahan likes the quarterback that runs his system. And the reason why Brock Purdy is going to be the quarterback for a long time, because, again, that's that stigma attached to, oh, he was the last pick of the draft. So what? That doesn't matter any more than Trey Lance being the third pick of the draft, okay? So what? He's the last pick of the draft. Everybody missed. He's the guy.
Yes.
Because when his back foot hit, when he plants that back foot, he's letting that sucker go. He is hitting that deep end route that is a staple of Kyle Shanahan's offense. He runs this system. Kyle Shanahan believes in his system. That's why he was infatuated with Kirk Cousins. That's why Garoppolo worked in his offense. And that's why Brock Purdy's going to be there as long as he stays healthy. Because he believes in his system. And if you could run his system the right way, you're his quarterback. Whether you're this one or the next one.
You almost got it. You almost got it.
What I missed? What I missed?
Almost got it. Just a little thing.
What I
you
missed?
said, as long as he runs his system. No, he's going to be the quarterback as long as he stays obedient, as long as he stays dependent.
That's kind of the same thing.
Remember we were talking about this before. We were talking a few weeks back. I don't know if you remember. You haven't been around that much, but a few weeks ago we were talking about this. We were talking about mentors and mentees. And what happens when you're mentee? You're the mentor.
Yeah, I was on the show that day. Yeah, I haven't been around that much. It was a conversation with me. What are you talking about?
I know. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I know it's you. I'm not.
Okay.
You're sensitive.
Okay.
Why are you so sensitive?
Okay.
Why are you so sensitive?
No.
Wait. What? I can't bring up attendance.
You want to go inside baseball? About 10 minutes before the show started, I got a text saying, "Hey, what you doing Wednesday?"
You didn't.
Because Holley can't do it.
Hey, you ain't get no text. You ain't get no text.
I can't get a text.
I didn't text you.
You didn't text me, but you text the middle person. Okay. You text Natalie. Yeah. So you even had enough respect to text me. Exactly. But it came to me though. Okay. So after I do Wednesday, because you do whatever you got to do, I don't want to hear shit else about I ain't here all the time. Okay. I don't want to hear that no more. I don't hear that no more.
But I was going to say, fair point.
What were you about to say?
I was going to say,
I got one more thing on the Cowboys.
Mentees and mentors. So if you're the mentee, now, some mentors just kind of, they're not in it for altruism. Some mentors are in it to feed their own egos. Hey, that person is under me. I discovered that person. I gave them a break. But what happens when you discover somebody and then they figure it out, you've helped them so much that maybe, you know what? Maybe they can exist without you holding their hand. And I think some quarterbacks, he's fallen out of, Kyle Shanahan I'm talking about, has fallen out of love with some quarterbacks who kind of want to do their own thing. Hey, you know what? I didn't know anything coming out of college. Now I've got 3-4 years experience underneath me. Okay, I can figure, I don't need you in my ear all the time. I don't need to plant the back foot and throw on demand just like you say it. I see something else out there because I'm actually on the field. When Brock Purdy starts to do his own thing, or when he gets exposed, when he starts doing his own thing,
this guy,
then Kyle Shanahan is going to move on to somebody else.
All right, we'll save the Brock Purdy for later. The last thing I wanted to get to was back to Jerry Jones real quick. Yep. One of my favorite phrases is, failure is an orphan, but success has many parents.
Right.
Perhaps my favorite part of this entire story is Jerry Jones being like, yeah, we were going to do this a couple of years ago, about 2-3 years ago. We were going to draft a quarterback in Philadelphia. Stop it, dude. You don't get to take Philadelphia's success and adopt it as your own, as if everybody knew Jalen Hurts was going to be this guy, okay?
Right.
Like, you had an opportunity to draft him, and make no apologies. In the first round, they drafted CeeDee Lamb. In the second round, they drafted Trayvon Diggs, 2 picks before the Eagles took Jalen Hurts at 53, okay? Or if he'd have been there, so you're going to draft him at 82? You're going to draft him in the 3rd round? It's like, you know what? Stop it. Because if he hadn't worked out, you would not be trying to claim Jalen Hurts at all. Okay? You're full of it. I don't believe you. You need more people about the fact that you were going to draft Jalen. So what if you were going to draft Jalen Hurts? Okay? And if you'd have drafted Jalen Hurts, who's to say that he'd have ever had the opportunity to be who he is now for Philadelphia? Secondly, if Carson Wentz hadn't imploded, who's to say that Jalen Hurts would be what he is right now with and for Philadelphia? So, Jerry, it's cool, dude. We get you want to develop quarterbacks, but you didn't draft Jalen Hurts, so keep the Eagles quarterback name out your mouth. That's all I wanted to say. Because I want to hear what you were thinking about doing and what kind of grades you had on him in hindsight. Because nobody tells you the grade that they had on these prospects when they blow up or when they bust.
That's right.
Oh, we were going to draft him. We were going to draft him, you know. Okay, but would he have been as good?
Exactly.
Who knows? Maybe he'd have ruined him for all we know. Anyway, that's all I had to say about that. That was hilarious.
Yeah, you're right.
Jerry, the quarterback. I ain't gonna say no names, but we were gonna take him because you knew, right? Because you knew. Okay.
Yeah, nobody say all these draft busts. They don't say. Other general managers don't say, "Hey, I understand," because if they hadn't taken him, we were gonna take him right after that. We would have picked.
I haven't heard anybody say, "Oh, I had a top 5 grade on Trey Lance." I've heard we had a 2nd round grade on Trey Lance, but I ain't heard we had a top 5 grade on Trey Lance because ain't nobody owning that, you know.
By the way, man, it's all love, man. It's all love on the attendance thing, man. We just having a good time, you know. It's okay.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just saying. I'm here. I'll be here. I'm always here. In spirit. I'm here in spirit, if nothing else.
Okay, in spirit. Yeah, me too. I'm always here in spirit as well.
We took a shot to go for that. We were hoping that he could be our guy, and that didn't work out. So I understand that from our standpoint, but I still do believe in Trey. And, about 3 years ago, we had the 12th pick in the draft, after that COVID year, but we thought we had a really good team. And we didn't think we'd have a chance again to get close to that top area to take a quarterback in the top 10. And when you have the 12th pick in the draft, we went into it realizing it was a risk, but we thought we weren't going to pick that high again for a couple of years, and we would never have a chance to move from 12 to 3. We tried to move up to a number of spots before that, but 3 was the first one that would do it. We looked into everything between 12 and 3, and we got that, and we took our shot, something we believed in and a person we believed in.
Love the kid. Kyle and I, when we broke the news to him today, saw him light up a little bit, and he loves it here. He was very appreciative of the opportunity, like Trey, typical Trey. He apologized to us, and there was nothing for him to apologize for. And we're happy that he's got a spot, and the Cowboys came up big, and I think that's an indication that they're excited to have him, and we're excited for Trey's new opportunity, and we'll always be big fans.
See, let me talk to Connor Rogers here because I know you're unbiased, you're objective. See, Michael ain't hit nothing they said just now because Michael thinks that the Niners just work the media, Connor, okay? But I heard a lot of stuff that made sense just now, which is no risk it, no biscuit. Now, Michael and I just finished railing against the revisionist history often associated with the draft, such as Jerry Jones saying, oh, yeah, we were going to draft Jalen Hurts, if he'd have fell to us in the 3rd round after we passed on him 2 picks earlier, a couple of years ago, just so you know. But you are a draft expert. You do the draft for a living. I wonder what you thought of Trey Lance then and what you think of his landing spot in Dallas now as it relates to my hope for him, and I know Michael agrees, that maybe he's Geno Smith one day. That maybe he just needs to sit behind the right people, and it might take him a long time, but can he get there one day? Or maybe he just can't play. What say you?
I think he can. I'm a believer. I mean, I had Trey Lance as a top 10 player in that draft, and maybe that's me holding on to the talent that I saw at the time. And here was the situation with Trey Lance. He was coming out of college. He only had 1 season as a starter. The COVID season absolutely wrecked his schedule where he only had that 1 showcase game. He was an underclassman. He couldn't go through an all-star circuit, of course, like a lot of guys. The really simple way to say it is this is somebody that needed reps. And he was drafted by a franchise while they have a great offensive staff and a lot of talent. The timelines didn't line up to be patient. The 49ers are in the picture in the NFC every single year, and Trey Lance needed time. He needed time to marinate. Now, my only question with the Dallas situation, and you could ask this about a lot of teams if they acquired him, is when is he going to get those reps to play, right? He wasn't there this spring. He wasn't there this summer where he could have got a ton of preseason action in that Dallas offense. Now he sits on a team where he might be that number 3 quarterback. But I will say, you're under McCarthy. You're behind Dak Prescott, who is a pro's pro. And when you look at Trey, he's somebody that still has all of that physical talent. He had some bad luck with injuries. I think the fit with Kyle Shanahan, it clearly just didn't work. And I heard you guys talking about the quarterbacks that have had success with Shanahan, and that is a long conversation, right? Of was this just a bad match? Was this a bad fit? I still believe in Trey Lance's talent. He does need time, and now he gets a fresh start in a place that you never know. Maybe in 2 years, 3 years from now, Dak Prescott isn't their future, and they like what they saw from Trey Lance while he's under their microscope.
He needs to get to number 2 first and crawl before he can walk, Michael.
Yeah.
Be somebody's number 2 first. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And this is totally unfair. Michael and Connor, this is unfair. I'll do it anyway. Okay, so there are 5 quarterbacks who went in the top 15 in that draft. 5 quarterbacks went in the top 15.
No disrespect.
So you have Trey. Yeah, Trey's at number 3. So let's play the game a little bit. If they had taken, let's say, Justin Fields, if they had taken Mac Jones, I know injuries, all this stuff, but do you see any other quarterback? Did they take the right quarterback? In other words, did they take the right guy? Would Fields be better in San Francisco?
I can't say I don't know what Trey Lance is yet at 23 years old. I can't say that and then say somebody else would have been better had San Francisco drafted him because the injuries. Like as you pointed out off the top, Michael, and Michael said this earlier, Trey Lance was a starter going into last year. He started the season last year and got hurt again, opening the door for Jimmy Garoppolo, who they were supposed to trade, but never traded. So who knows how it works out if they don't luck up and take Brock Purdy with the last pick in the draft. I mean, it's like, talk about stars aligning, this is star-crossed. He's a star-crossed career. And so if they'd have taken Mac Jones, and Mac Jones got hurt for a team that was ready to win right now, maybe it works out the same way for Mac Jones.
You could say it about every guy after Trevor Lawrence, which is crazy, right? Let's not forget, Zach Wilson last summer, he got hurt, missed a lot of camp and missed the start of the season and did not look, like he developed when he got back, right? Now he's been replaced. Justin Fields in 2 years, a lot of promise. Justin Fields has missed a lot of time too and had to play through a lot of injuries as well because that much running takes a wear and tear on the body, but that's what the Bears offense had to ask him to do. And you brought up Mac Jones as well, who, while the floor at times is nice for Mac Jones and it feels like floor is something Kyle Shanahan likes, I don't see the ceiling there very much at all. So I thought the whole move for Trey Lance going up to 3 was to chase ceiling, add a rushing element to a pass game that already works. And the whole thought with Trey was he's a well-built kid with a big-time arm that can run in between the tackles, he could run outside, and he could push the ball down the field. Unfortunately, he hasn't been on the field enough to develop those things or prove that he can consistently do those things. But the other 3 guys have had not as drastic of problems, but they've had their own issues as well.
2 years from now, I wonder where we're going to be on Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and Anthony Richardson, all of whom are now starting week 1. It's official after last night. D'Amico Ryans did what we all expected, was named the 2nd overall pick as a starter for the Texans. Bryce Young, we knew he was as pro-ready as anybody from the neck up. We knew he was going to start day 1. C.J. Stroud, we presume that to a slightly lesser extent. Anthony Richardson is the one that's sort of a surprise, not a surprise given the owner, but a surprise given that he needed the most development. But hey, maybe the best way to develop is to play. There's something to be said for that. Was there anything you saw this preseason, for as much as you could judge the preseason, that gives you pause about any of these guys starting day 1, given that all 3 of them, and I mean, say what you want about Davis Mills, he's played for 2 years, all 3 of them have a guy who could at least, if nothing else, keep the seat warm for rookie coaches and developing young quarterbacks.
I think, ironically, the one that I'm excited that he's playing right away is Richardson, because coming out of Florida, it was that he needs to play. He needs to work through his warts. He was 20 years old on draft night. But Michael, we were next to this kid, at the combine and saw just the build he has. He can take on pressure. He could escape from pressure. He's got a huge arm. They're going to really get in his ear to use that rushing ability, something that was great at Florida, but it can make an even bigger impact at the NFL. I also love the coaching staff pairing with him, Shane Steichen, who did such a good job with Jalen Hurts for 2 years. So Richardson needed to play, and I think he has the build and rushing ability to take the hits that he'll be okay, ironically. There'll be bumps in the road, but Bryce and CJ I'm wondering about a little bit because Bryce has the size. Carolina's offensive line did not look good this summer. His real veteran to lead on is Adam Thielen. How much does he have left in the tank? Although he looked pretty good through a couple of preseason games. And then CJ Stroud. They just need more talent in Houston. That's the big thing. I like some of the pieces on the offensive line, although they've dealt with injuries, and I like Dameon Pierce in the backfield, who will get a surplus of work. But the pass-catching talent is either in development like Tank Dell, or it's just kind of thin. So Stroud, he's going to have a big learning curve because I think he's in maybe the most difficult situation of the three, and that's something you want to keep your eye on with a young quarterback when you think of things like confidence.
Hey, guys, help me out here. I'm wondering what we're missing. I can't call it. We're missing something. You talk about, Trey Lance and how the Niners missed on Trey Lance. And you mentioned Zach Wilson. The Jets missed on Zach Wilson. If they hadn't missed, Aaron Rodgers wouldn't be there. It's too early to say that the Bears missed. It's too early to say that the Patriots missed. But Trey Lance was beaten out by Sam Darnold, who was a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
What team is this now for Baker Mayfield, the number 1 overall pick in 2018? Was this team number 4 for him? So does it make you think right? We're just not looking at, are we getting too excited about college quarterbacks? Are we not looking at some key nuance that will help you translate from college to the pros? Because I feel like I'm not getting excited about a college quarterback anymore. I've been burned too much. I'm not getting excited about anybody. I'm not getting excited about Anthony Richardson or C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. What are we missing? We're missing something.
This is going to sound counterintuitive. So the rookie wage scale, keeps young quarterbacks on a rookie contract and on a cheaper rookie contract, allowing you to build a team around them, and it's less cost prohibitive to cut bait. Quarterback salaries have also skyrocketed. So when you combine it being less cost prohibitive to cut bait with quarterback salaries skyrocketing, it equals less time and less patience for young quarterbacks. It equals like after 3 years, if you don't know, we got to move on. And not to mention the coaching, Connor, not to mention the coaching cycle turns over so quickly, you don't have time, like talking about, we married to this quarterback. Now you dating him for a couple of years. Does that make sense, Connor?
That's exactly it. Timelines is the word. I can't say it enough. You have a GM that could be on the hot seat or a coach that could be on the hot seat, and they need to make sure the guy under center gives them a shot at keeping their job or gives them reason to keep their job. And it can go the other way as well, right, for quarterbacks. And then you have the big decision that starts with ownership and GMs of if you pay a guy, like you said, Michael, where a lot of guys that might be average get paid to be great. I think of somebody like Derek Carr in the Saints. Carr's been an average quarterback throughout his career, but he is paid like a guy that needs to be great. And there's nothing wrong with that if you believe in the player in your system and what they can do, but it creates a more difficult decision of when it's time. And that's why some teams would rather just kind of punt on it. And the Bears just went through this, right? The Bears, with a new regime, had to make a decision of, are we going to go forward with Justin Fields' development, or are we going to use the number 1 pick on a quarterback? And credit to the Bears. They traded the number 1 pick. They got a great return. They're using a lot of those assets to build it around Fields. But that's a really, really tough spot to be in, because quite often, if you're wrong about the one big decision you make, you don't get a chance to make a second one.
So the Colts could make a decision at any moment here to trade with, in theory, would be Anthony Richardson's best friend, which is, running back the caliber of Jonathan Taylor. Deadline, I believe, is tomorrow, the 29th. A couple of things I got on just this running back market. Michael, we've been talking about it all summer. Connor, I know you have as well. I think Josh Jacobs, the contract he just got, and before that, the contract that Saquon got, that's the new normal for running back contracts. I think that we talk about what can running backs do. You can be good enough to get tagged, hold out, and make them give you more on a 1-year deal. That's probably the best you're going to get, with a few outliers like a Christian McCaffrey or Derrick Henry. Hell, maybe Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs given at their first-round picks. But you're more often than not, they're going to try to they're going to tag you, But you got to hold their feet to the fire and make them give you a better version of that one-year deal. But when it comes to Jonathan Taylor, who's on the last year of his 4-year rookie contract, the hypocrisy is what I want to call out, Connor. And listen, Michael and I talked about it. I'm like, hey, it is what it is when it comes to running backs. It's just the normal, the new normal. But when it comes to Jonathan Taylor, what gets me about the Colts is you don't want to pay dude, but you want a first-round pick, allegedly, for him from a team that then has to pay him? It's like, if you don't want to pay him, don't impede his ability to get paid somewhere else. The franchise tag does that enough. But now you want Miami or somebody to give you a first-round pick, which I don't think the Dolphins should do it or will do it, which means they will. You want them to give you a first-round pick and pay a dude that you won't pay. Just take 2 seconds and call it a day, Connor.
Right. It's a tricky one, or not really tricky at all, because we could see right through it. We're smart enough to understand. You basically look at Jonathan Taylor and go, oh, yeah, well, you want that contract? Go find a trade that gets you that. And at the end of the day, a team that might actually pay him calls the Colts, and they say, no, he's our star running back. That's going to cost you at least a first-round pick. That's problematic. It's problematic for the position. It's problematic for the NFL. You could say it's a business as much as you want, but we know how important Jonathan Taylor, when healthy, is to that football team and is to their rookie quarterback. And going back to the rookie wage scale for quarterbacks, the Colts aren't paying a quarterback, right? When you look at Anthony Richardson, you're doing that to hopefully manipulate the cap to spend big on other areas. So why not spend big on who should be your most impactful skill player, maybe your most impactful player on the entire team in Jonathan Taylor? These are the problematic PR views of this. And honestly, when that's the case, it always starts at ownership, and that seems to be like the big issue right now for the Colts.
I'm convinced, Michael and Connor, I'm convinced that Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel are in one of those Michael Smith PPR leagues, and they're acquiring talent based on that. You know, we can have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and Jonathan Taylor.
I don't like the dismissive tone.
Does it
one of those
fit?
Michael Smith PPR leagues.
Does it
Connor
fit?
and
We're
I
not
feel
sure. We like the talent, though. We like the talent. Hey, quickly, does it fit, though? If Jonathan Taylor is there.
In Miami?
It doesn't fit. Yeah, Miami.
Well, you got a run game genius in Mike McDaniel, right, Connor? Like the idea. I mean, I know Jonathan Taylor is great, but if this, so there's another, contradiction. This position is supposed to be so disposable, and you can turn Jeff Wilson into a star, Raheem Mostert into a star. You just drafted Devon A-Chain. What you need to go trade for Jonathan Taylor for?
That's exactly it, right? You come from a system before they traded for Christian McCaffrey last year, the 49ers, that you rotate running backs. You find day 3 talents every single year, and you find guys that'll take a 1 or 2 year, very low-level deal on the market, and you rotate them all, and the 3 of them combined equal to a really successful rushing attack. That's what Mike McDaniel has really been raised under Kyle Shanahan, and we saw Miami do that last year. So maybe they make a splash, maybe they make a move, but with all the money they've spent, all the assets that they've sent to other teams for their players, it feels like doing that for a running back right now. It doesn't line up with logic, but like you said, you never know if they want to make that splash move.
Michael made a snide remark about fantasy football, but I feel like there's some truth there. We all kind of view the game through the prism of those positions, quarterback, wide receiver, running back. And I think there's a story. I'm not going to say, Michael and I hate this, nobody's talking about. I think there's a story that cannot be talked enough about. And that's Chris Jones. I mean, nobody means more to a defense than Chris Jones does to Kansas City, which a lot of people think can repeat, which their Chiefs Kingdom thinks it could be a dynasty. You're not getting there without Chris Jones. Like, just how dire a situation is this in Kansas City? And does his absence completely change? We presume he'll show up in enough time to get an accrued season or what have you, and maybe a deal gets worked out at any moment. Who knows? But right here, right now, he's not with the Chiefs. If he doesn't get a deal and he's missing, how much does that change the calculus in the AFC, if not the NFL, Connor?
It's massive. I mean, there's no way around it. With Chris Jones, the Chiefs are the well-earned favorite to win the Super Bowl again because they have the greatest quarterback on earth, and Chris Jones is one of the best defensive players in football. And I think here's something else that might be a little problematic with this, guys. We talk about Patrick Mahomes' contract extension, right? How quickly dated that became and how insane it is. Mahomes is vastly underpaid, but Mahomes has publicly been a guy that he does all the right things, and he says, listen, other guys got to get some of the pie as well. I don't need to take all of it. And that's You got to respect that from Patrick Mahomes. Well, one of those guys that the Chiefs should be giving some of the pie to again is Chris Jones, because he's what makes their defense go from the inside out. He's an interior presence that disrupts the passer. He's an incredible run defender. He makes everyone so much better around him. I mean, Frank Clark wouldn't have had those years with the Chiefs without Chris Jones next to him. So he's their entire pass rush. You can't run at this guy. He's a leader on the defensive side of the ball. He's a superstar that takes over games. And when you have an offense that can score at will and counterpunch at any time, having a franchise defensive player that can create takeaways, even if they're not direct takeaways for him, but force quarterbacks into bad decisions and bad throws for the secondary to feast on, which is something he's been great at. Whatever they pay him, or hopefully will pay him, he's worth every penny. Yeah. He's a guy that's probably chasing the Aaron Donald contract, which is in its own stratosphere on the D lineman, and maybe the Chiefs just aren't balking at that yet. But honestly, they can't go into the season without him, in my opinion.
Can't have it both ways. You can't underpay your quarterback and not pay somebody else. That important as Chris Jones. Connor, way to earn your money, buddy.
You guys
We're
are the
not
best.
paying you enough around here. Can I say that? Can I say that without compromising my position?
You guys are the best.
You know, the thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA Finals, and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? Don't get me wrong. I love the U.S. at times, but that ain't the world. That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA.
I think Noah Lyles, Vinny, was playing to the crowd, and he definitely had that take saved in drafts for a long time. He was sitting on that one for a while, but he's not wrong. I've always
yes,
thought
he
that
is.
way.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, let me do it. Well, let me do it. I'll do it then, and I'm only gonna do it so y'all can shout me down. So y'all can both shout me down.
Okay.
Because I've always felt that way. And same way about the NFL, even though nobody else is playing American football, like on that level. I get the global game that the NBA is and the level of global international talent in the NBA, and it is the best league in the world. So based on credibility and based on level, it's entitled to call itself World Championship. But like, it's kind of hard to have the World Championship and then the World Cup and then the Olympics. Like, I'm a technical thinker. So from a technical standpoint, he's not wrong. From a reputation standpoint, he is. And we all know why. It's obvious. But technically, you can't have the World Championships and NBA World Champions. That's not congruent. You see where I'm coming from, Vinny?
The devil don't need an advocate. You ever heard that one? The devil don't need an advocate. And you don't need to advocate for this nonsense, okay? For one, I did a quick Google search, right? And I looked up the championship hats for the last 3 years in the NBA. You know what's not on any of them? World champions is not on them. So for him saying it's world champions on their head, wrong. Then he said, what hurts the most? Fool, why are you hurt? What does the NBA have to do with you running the 100 and 200 that got you hurt?
Yeah.
Clown. Like, it's not like the technical part of it, Michael Smith. That's what I'm saying. The devil don't need an advocate. And secondly,
no, but he's right. I'm not advocating for the devil. He's actually right.
The best 400 players playing basketball in the world are playing in the NBA.
1,000%.
Players flock from wherever they live to play in the National Basketball Association. If there's a better team than the current champions, then show them to me. Because
hold on, Michael, 1 second.
Come on,
Vinny.
Don't.
Your tone, I love it. And the tone of everybody that clapped back at him, you talk about him being hurt, y'all real sensitive. Ain't nobody arguing with whether or not the NBA is the best league in the world by far. Nobody's arguing that. It's the title of world champions that's extremely narrow-minded because it's not a world competition. That's all he's saying, and that's all I understand. Nobody's saying that there's a better team somewhere else, Michael.
Hey, listen.
Why y'all getting sensitive?
Noah has been on the ark so long that he's in the wrong decade now. He's in the wrong decade. He's talking about like 1983 NBA. He's got a case because in 1983 we didn't have Giannis and we didn't have Jokic and we didn't have guys from all over the world. And in 1983, hold on a second. In 1983, we didn't have pros playing in the Olympics. It can't be apples to apples. It's not track. Okay, it's not track. So there are no ongoing. You're fighting and running against people from different countries. But in Olympic competition, we've seen the U.S. in Olympic competition. It usually works out pretty well. We've seen the best basketball players from all over the world. And most of them acknowledge all over the world, nobody tells them to say this, the best league in the world is the National Basketball Association.
So I got an idea.
So, hey,
Vinny,
dog,
didn't you get the finals logo changed, Vinny? Didn't you lead that movement to get the finals logo changed? Didn't you do that?
Sure.
How
that was me.
about we call it the World Basketball Association? What do you think? Since it's such a global game, and it's the best players in the world, and you world champions, let's call it the world instead of the National Basketball Association.
You know what?
See, this is where I'm admittedly being contrarian for the sake of being contrarian, because I want Vinny's head to explode on live television.
No,
but he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
You know what this is? Michael, you are being unnecessarily emotional. And secondly, you know what Noah Lyles sounds like?
You just yelled at me.
No, I didn't. Wait. You know what Noah Lyles just sounds like? He sounds like that great clip off the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when Lou walked out on Will and wouldn't take him on to something. You know what he sound like? How come they don't want me, y'all? He sound like a guy that's honestly kind of jealous of why these dudes getting all this adoration and y'all don't know who the hell I am.
He's caught up in this world championship environment, Michael.
Well, why would you be thinking about basketball players when you just finished running track and field?
And I can't believe I fell for it. Vinny and Mike, I can't believe I fell for it because I know it's almost like it's like Prince Akeem going into McDonald's talking about a game he saw between the Packers and the Giants. You know what I mean? Like, I can't explain this to you, bro.
Through a big H.
You're so, I mean, he's so literal. I can't believe that he pulled me down this rabbit hole. And I'm arguing. He's sitting up there laughing, and they're laughing. They're not laughing with him. They're laughing at him because it's great.
I'm sitting up here defending him. So I guess that makes both of us so smart till we're dumb. So let's move on, shall we? Okay. Let's move on because we haven't talked about it. This is like several days old. But Michael and I, we didn't talk about it last week. Vinny, you probably talked about it on Good Word with Goodwill podcast. We didn't talk about us. I was watching Winning Time last night, season 2. It's so good. And so there's the mythology of Magic Johnson. And obviously the recent conversation was Gilbert Arenas saying that Steph was the best point guard ever, and Steph predictably agreeing with that. And I would love to know where two old heads like you come down on it, because I think it's still Magic as a point guard. This is where it comes down for me. We're talking about this. What do you want out of a point guard? Magic is the prototypical point guard. If we're talking about a basketball player, just a basketball player, like that's where I think that's where they are rare air wise, Vinny. These two guys are in such rare air to where we're talking about basketball player, take your pick, and there's no better basketball player than Steph Curry. I also think it does Steph Curry a disservice to put him in just point guard debates because he doesn't play like Magic Johnson did. No more than LeBron plays like Michael Jordan did. Well, sure, if you want, Vinny, what say you? And shout out to Isaiah Thomas, because I know Isaiah Thomas is coming up, Vinny.
Vinny, before you answer, Vinny, isn't it funny that Michael Smith, who is now, hey Mike, happy birthday, bruh. We weren't on the air when you had your birthday. Michael Smith, who is 9 years younger than me and a little bit older than you, is calling you an old head. How you feel about that? I think that's just funny, but go ahead and answer. Because you're younger. You're the youngest one in this conversation.
That's fair.
By far the youngest one here in this conversation. Let's
calm down. Okay, now.
Secondly, first off,
defund Gilbert Arenas, okay? We need to defund Gilbert in this podcast, all right? Secondly, I don't think Steph Curry shouldn't say anybody other than him is the greatest point guard. He's close enough to the argument and the discussion. But here's what I will say. Point guard is the only position in the NBA where your responsibilities from night to night, from game to game, from quarter to quarter will change. Nobody was better at that than Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas. They had a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. Steph Curry, as great as he is, undeniably great as he is, his plan A is his plan B. He gonna shoot the hell out of the ball, and if it go in, it go in, and if it don't, it don't. Magic could play out of the post. Magic could run showtime. Magic could do everything that you needed him to do. Isaiah Thomas could play in a style that was completely unconducive to his individual talent in a big man's game and get 2 titles out of it in the era of Magic, Bird, and Jordan. He's got Magic, Jordan, and Bird blood on every one of his banners, and there is no player in the NBA history at that size that can claim that. Not even Steph Curry can claim that he's got all of those greats on his wall. That's no shot to him. That is just saying these are who the greatest point guards of all time are, because this is what you need them to do. Steph is great. Magic is in the GOAT conversation and undersold in the GOAT conversation, and we will not disrespect Isaiah Thomas on these parts.
But for Steph, though, I don't know that we could play a positionless game the way we do in 2023 and reduce Steph to a point guard debate. Like, he's never going to be 6'9". He's never going to average 11 assists a game.
You can't have it both ways. Don't call it a positionless game and then say he's the best point guard.
I didn't say he was. I didn't say Steph was.
Or to have a point guard conversation. If it's positionless, why are we having a point guard conversation?
Blame Gilbert Arenas. Blame Gilbert Arenas.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.